Hello students, I'm Sai Baba here. So this is the third class in rotatory motion. In the previous class, I was discussing the term moment of inertia. I had discussed about the term moment of inertia, and I started discussing some simple special cases in moment of inertia. I have discussed the first special case in the last part of the previous class. The same conclusion again I have shown on the screen, which I have shown in my previous class. So I will once again read out the conclusion which I was discussing in my previous class. If all the particles of a system are situated at the same radial distance r from the axis, and the radius of gyration about that axis will be equal to r. That means if all the particles of the system are situated at the same perpendicular distance or radial distance r from the axis, and the radius of gyration of system of the particles about that axis will be same as the distance r of each particle from the axis. So this is the case 1 I have discussed in the previous class. So next I would like to discuss the case 2. You please stop writing, just concentrate to listen. So as I discussed the case 1, I have given an example for case 1 also. So suppose if 3 point masses are suppose situated 3 vertices or corners of an equilateral triangle with each side of length L, then let G denote the centroid of the triangle. Then about the axis perpendicular to the plane of the triangle and passing through centroid of the triangle. I mean the radius of gyration of the system of the 3 particles about the axis passing through centroid of the triangle and perpendicular plane of the triangle will be same as the distance of each particle from the centroid. That means K equal to R, which is equal to L by root 3. So I have discussed the same example for this case 1 in the previous class also. I want to just remind you about what I was discussing in the previous class. Coming to the second special case, you can stop writing, just listen here. You can write the notes later. The moment of inertia of system of n discrete point masses m1, m2, m3, etc. up to mn, which are situated radial distances r1, r2, r3, etc. up to rn respectively from the axis is given by I equal to sigma mr square. That can be written as m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square, etc. up to m1 rn square. So I am just discussing a special case where all the particles of the system suppose have same mass. That is m1 equal to m2 equal to m3 equal to mn, and each mass be denoted by m, small m. Then total mass of the system is denoted by capital M, that is equal to m1 plus m2 plus m3 etc. up to mn. Here m1 equal to small m, m2 equal to small m, m3 is also small m. So total mass, that means same term to be repeated n times. So to get total mass of system is equal to m into n. And moment of inertia I can be written as m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square. So this substitute m1 equal to m, m2 equal to m, m3 also equal to m, and so on. And mn equal to m. So you can take m common outside here. M into r1 square plus r2 square plus r3 square up to rn square. Then the radius of gyration of system of n particles. From general equation we write I equal to k equal to root of I by capital M. So that is m into r1 square plus r2 square plus r3 square up to rn square by m into n. That means if all the particles of a system of n point masses have same mass, and the radius of gyration of system of the particles about an axis will be equal to the root mean square value, or we call RMS value. Root mean square value of the radial distances of different particles on the axis of rotation. So you just concentrate only to listen. I will show you the notes, the PowerPoint presentation of the notes later. So next I would like to discuss one more special case. We call it as case 3. So you just concentrate only to listen to my explanation. You can copy the working later when I show you the notes in PowerPoint presentation. Let us consider system of 2 point masses m1 and m2. Which are separated by distance r. So I am going to calculate the moment of inertia of the system of the 2 point masses m1 and m2 about the axis passing through the center of mass of the system of the 2 particles. And perpendicular to the line joining the 2 particles. So this result will be used directly in some situations at later stages in some of the examples in other topics. So let us consider a system of 2 point mass m1 m2 which are separated by distance r. I am going to calculate the moment of inertia of the system of the 2 point masses about the axis passing through the center of mass of system of the 2 point masses and perpendicular to the line joining the 2 point masses. So let R1, let's see, denote the position of center of mass of system of the 2 point mass M1 and M2. Let R1 and R2, or you can write D1 and D2. Let D1 and D2 denote the distances of the 2 point masses from the center of mass of the system. As I discussed earlier, in the topic center of mass, for system of 2 point masses, center of mass of system lies in between the 2 point masses on the line joining the 2 point masses, such that the ratio of the distances of the 2 masses from the center of mass of the system will be equal to the inverse ratio of their masses. So D1 is to D2 is M2 is to M1. d1 plus d2 can be written as equal to r. So you can divide the distance r between the two masses m1 and m2 in the ratio m2 is to m1. So d1 can be written as ratio value for d1, that is m2, divided by sum of the two ratios m2 plus m1 into sum of d1 and d2. So you can write distance d2 of second point mass from center of mass to the two masses. You can ratio value for d2 is m1 divided by sum of the two ratios m1 plus m2 whole multiplied by sum of d1 and d2. So moment of inertia of the system of the two point masses about this axis passing through center of mass of system of the two masses and perpendicular to the line joining the two point masses can be written as m1 d1 square plus m2 d2 square sigma mr square. Now we can substitute here d1 equal to this value m2 r by m1 plus m2, and you can substitute d2 equal to m1 into r by m1 plus m2. So d2 square into m2. So this can be written as m1 m2 square r square by m1 plus m2 whole square plus m2 into m1 square into r square by m1 plus m2 whole square. Now you can take some common factors here. You can take m1 m2 into r square by m1 plus m2 whole square, common outside. So you get m2 plus m1. So this you can cancel once. You already out. So point of inertia of the system of the two point masses m1 and m2 about the axis passing through center of mass of system and perpendicular line joining the two point mass given by m1 m2 by m1 plus m2 into r square. Or you can write I equal to nu r square, where nu equal to m1 m2 by m1 plus m2. So 1 by nu you can write, to take the reciprocal, m1 plus m2 by m1 m2. So 1 by nu you can write 1 by m1 plus 1 by m2. Masses m1 m2 are always positive. So 1 by m1 is positive, 1 by m2 is positive. So when you add two positive terms, the sum is expected to be greater than any one of the individual terms. So 1 by nu is greater than 1 by m1. 1 by nu is greater than 1 by m2. That means you can conclude that nu is less than m1 and nu is less than m2. Here nu is called as the reduced mass. The same term nu will be called as reduced mass of the system of the two particles. The same concept of reduced mass will be used at some context in other topics as well. That means the moment of inertia system of the two particles of mass m1 and m2 about this axis passing through center of mass of system and perpendicular line joining the two point masses is same as the moment of inertia of single point mass with mass equal to nu, that is which mass equal to the reduced mass, moving in a circular path of radius r. So I would like to show you the notes for these two cases which are discussed in this class. So I would like to show you the notes for the two special cases which I have just discussed in this class. Come on, look at the screen. That is case if M1 equal to M2 equal to M3 equal to Mn up to M. Each mass equal to M. So within brackets there should be say then I equal to M R1 square plus M2 R2 square plus M3 R3 square etc. We can substitute M1 equal to M, M2 equal to M, M3 equal to N, Mn equal to M. So you get my definition of system of the N particles, M into R1 square plus R2 square plus R. Total mass system is all the mass of N particles, which you can write M1 plus M2 plus M3 up to Mn. Those who want to write the notes or writing the notes, you can take a pause and please finish writing the notes up to this step. I'd like to show the continuation to this. So we can write capital M equal to small n into M. Capital M is the total mass of system of the N particles. So radius of gyration of the system of the N point masses is given by K equal to root of capital I by M. Can simplify as explained before. You get K equal to under root of R1 square plus R2 square plus R3 square up to Rn square divided by M. That means RMS value of radial distances R1, R2, R3, etc. up to Rn. So those who want to write the notes, please finish writing the notes up to this. So if you want to need more time, you can take a pause and write the notes. Would like to show the notes for next case here, case 3. The moment of inertia of the system of two particles of masses M1 and M2 separated by distance d about the axis perpendicular to the line joining the two particles and passing through the center of mass system of the two particles is given by I equal to nu into d square. Where nu equal to M1 M2 by M1 plus M2. The same result which I just discussed before. That means I have given the conclusion directly. Later I will show you the working for this conclusion which I explained before. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing these notes for case 3. That is the conclusion you can write first, because this conclusion will be used directly in some of the applications in other topics. So I would like to show the notes continuation to this. So you can write 1 by nu equal 1 by M1 plus M by M2. So 1 by nu greater than 1 by M1, 1 by nu greater than 1 by M2. Nu is called the reduced mass of system of the two masses. So nu will be less than M1 and nu will be less than M2. So I have written the working here. I equal to, that is moment of inertia of system, can be written M1 D1 square plus M2 D2 square. You can substitute D1 equal to M2 into D by M1 plus M2 as explained before. And D2 equal to M1 D by M1 plus M2. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to this step. Would like to show the continuation to this. So you get I equal to M1 M2 D square by M1 plus M2 whole square and M1 plus M2. This you can simplify it further. You get I equal to m1 m2 by m1 plus m2 into d square, or I equal to nu d square. Nu is called the reduced mass system of the two particles. Come on, finish writing the notes. I mean, those are writing the notes, they can take a pause and finish writing the notes. So next I would like to discuss about parallel axis theorem in moment of inertia. Of course, later I will be showing you some of the standard results for calculation of moment of inertia of some of the regular objects about the axis of symmetry passing through center of mass of the object. So center of moment of inertia system of discrete point masses and discrete point masses about a given axis can be written as sigma mi ri square, where I is varied from 1 to n. That means in the case of continuous bodies, that means this what I am discussing at present is not the parallel axis theorem. So I am just discussing the usual method to be followed for a calculation of moment of inertia of continuous bodies or for continuous distribution of mass. If you consider a body where mass is distributed continuously, for example, thin uniform rod or a thin uniform circular plate or thin uniform circular ring, like that. So in that case, the given mass can be imagined to be divided into large number of elementary masses. So infinite small elementary mass of the body is denoted by dm. If the mass dm is situated radial distance r from the axis, then the moment of inertia of that elementary mass dm of the body, that will be moment of inertia of an infinite small elementary mass dm of the body which is situated at a perpendicular distance r from the axis of rotation, can be written as di equal dm into r square. To find the moment of inertia of the whole rigid body, we follow the method of integration. Moment of inertia of the whole rigid body will be equal to sum of the moments of inertia of all the elementary masses which compose the body. That means you can theoretically imagine that the given rigid body or the given body with continuous distribution of mass to be divided into infinitely large number of small elementary masses. Moment of inertia of one of the elementary masses can be written in the form di equal dm into r square. So total moment of inertia of the rigid body about a given axis because sum of the moments of inertia of all the elementary masses into which the body can be imagined to be divided. So of course limits of integration are selected or limits of integration are chosen in such a way so that you get the moments of inertia of all the elementary masses into which the body can be imagined to be divided or composed of. So later I will be giving you some of the results for moments of inertia of some of the regular objects about the axis of symmetry passing through center of mass. So that list will be shown to you. But before that, I would like to discuss parallax theorem. So I am going to discuss about the parallax theorem, but I am not going to discuss the proof part of this parallax theorem because in the latest syllabus which I observed in the board for board exams, either for CBSE students or for the state syllabus students of Andhra Pradesh. You don't have the derivation of the parallax theorem, you have only the statement of the parallax theorem. So I am going to discuss the statement of the parallax theorem, that is how the parallax theorem can be applied in practice. So we can use the parallax theorem to calculate the moment of inertia of rigid body about any axis which may not be passing through the center of mass of the body. If you know its moment of inertia about the parallel axis passing through its center of mass. Now all of you please stop writing now, don't write running notes when I am explaining. I will be showing you the notes later. So let us consider rigid body of some arbitrary shape. With the total mass capital M. Let I denote the moment of inertia of the rigid body about an axis passing through some point in the body. So if you want to calculate this moment of inertia I, you can draw an axis parallel to this given axis, but passing through the center of mass of the body. So let I subscript Cm denote the moment of inertia of the same rigid body about the parallel axis which is passing through center of mass of the body. That means ICM represent the moment of inertia of the rigid body about this axis passing through center of mass of the body, which is parallel to the first axis on the right hand side, which is not passing through center of mass. Let H denote the perpendicular distance between the two axes. So according to moment parallel axis theorem, moment of inertia of rigid body about any axis will be equal to moment of inertia about the parallel axis passing through its center of mass plus product of the total mass of the rigid body and the square of the perpendicular distance h between the two axes. This equation we call it as parallel axis theorem. So in this equation on the right hand side, second term is always positive. Total mass of the rigid body is always positive. H square is positive. That means the moment of inertia of rigid body about any axis which does not pass through its center of mass is always greater than its moment of inertia about the axis passing through its center of mass if the two axes are parallel to each other. That means if you draw an infinite number of axes parallel to a given direction, suppose if you draw or consider infinite number of lines or axes parallel to a given direction, then let ICM denote the moment of inertia of the rigid body about the axis passing through its center of mass parallel to the given direction. So I is minimum when h square is minimum because total mass is a constant for a given rigid body. So minimum value of h square will be 0. H square will be 0 when h is 0. And h will be 0 about the axis passing through its center of mass. That means parallel to a given direction, the moment of inertia of the rigid body will be minimum about the axis passing through its center of mass. We can write similar equation in terms of the radius of gyration K about the given axis and radius of gyration about the parallel axis through center of mass. Let K denote the radius of gyration of the rigid body about the first axis on the right side, passing through some point A. Then we can write I equal to mk square on the left hand side of this equation, the parallax theorem. Let KCM denote the radius of gyration of the rigid body about this parallel axis passing through its center of mass. So ICM can be written as mkcm square. So if you substitute these values here in this equation, we can write I equal to mk square plus mkcm square plus mh square. So if you divide this equation with the total mass m, you get k square equal to kcm square plus h square. That means parallel to a given direction, the radius of gyration k will be minimum about the axis passing through center of mass of the body. That means radius of gyration of the rigid body about any axis not passing through its center of mass is greater than the radius of gyration of the rigid body about the axis passing through its center of mass if the two axes are parallel. So next, I am going to show the notes for the same discussion I have done just now about parallax theorem. And after that, I am going to show you the list of the some formulae for moments of inertia of some of the regular objects about an axis of symmetry passing through center of mass. Come on, look at the screen here for parallax theorem. So now look at the screen here. So I am first showing the statement for the parallax theorem, which you can read from the screen. I am going to read out the statement. So those who want to write the note, please get ready with your notebook and pen. I am going to read out the statement. You can take a pause and copy this statement if you are writing the notes now. So I will once read out the statement. The moment of inertia I of a rigid body about any axis is equal to its moment of inertia within brackets capital I subscript Cm about the parallel axis passing through its center of mass plus product of the total mass within brackets capital M of the rigid body and the square of the perpendicular distance h between the two axes. Come on, you can take a pause and finish writing this statement. So I am going to show the notes continuation to this. So we can write I equal to mk square. Of course, here the diagram is not shown. We can draw the diagram roughly on the right side. You can draw the diagram roughly on the right hand side. We'll consider rigid body of some arbitrary shape. Here I is the moment of inertia of the rigid body about a given axis passing through some point A in the body. ICM is the moment of inertia of the rigid body about the parallel axis through center of mass. H is the perpendicular distance with the two axes, and capital M is the total mass of the rigid body. So we can write I equal to mk square and ICM equal to mkcm square, and we substitute these values. Put I equal to mk square and ICM equal to mkcm square in this equation. I equal to ICM plus MH square. So on the left hand side, you can substitute I equal to MK square, and right hand side ICM equal to MKCM square. So divide this equation, you get K square equal to KCM square plus H square. So as explained, if the two axes are parallel, then I is greater than ICM and K is greater than KCM. So parallel to a given direction, the moment of inertia of the rigid body will be minimum about the axis passing through its center of mass. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So next I am going to show you the list of the formulae for moments of inertia of some of the regular objects. So now, come on, look at the screen. So I am going to read out the conclusions one after another. So I am not going to give you the mathematical proof for these results. Of course, in the past we used to discuss the proof for these results because the proof was included in the regular board exam syllabus in the past. But in the latest board intermediate textbook in AP and also in the CBSE textbook, you are, I think, directly given the results without the mathematical proof. For those who are preparing for IIT JEE exam, so I advise them, particularly those who are aiming to for IIT JEE advanced exam, so I advise them to also write the proof for these results with the help of any standard books like H.C. Verma, etc. Now see the first conclusion I am giving here, I am showing on the screen. I am going to read out the conclusion. The moment of inertia I, MI means short form for moment of inertia. Thin uniform rod of mass capital M and length should write small l there. About the axis perpendicular to its length and passing through its center of mass is given by ICM equal ml square by 12. So if you are familiar with this first result, you can get the second result. That is moment of inertia of thin uniform rod of mass m and length L about the axis perpendicular to its length and passing through one of its ends can be found by parallax theorem. Phi is the moment of inertia about this axis passing through one of the ends and perpendicular to its length. ICM denotes the moment of inertia about the axis passing through center of mass of the rod and perpendicular length of the rod. So I equal to ICM plus MH square. H is the perpendicular distance of the two axes, which is equal to half of the length of the rod. So I can substitute ICM equal to ML square by 12 and H equal to L by 2. You can simplify this. You get I equal to ML square by 3. So that means the moment of inertia of the rod about the axis perpendicular to the length of the rod and passing through one of the ends of the rod will be given by I equal ML square by 3. That means the second formula will be used in some of the problems where the rod rotates about an axis passing through one of the ends. For example, the rod is pivoted at the top end or suspended vertically about the horizontal axis, so that is capable of rotating about the horizontal axis passing through top end. Then if the rod is made to swing in the vertical plane, then that means it is rotating about the horizontal axis passing through top end, perpendicular length of the rod. Then I should be taken as ML square by 2. In case the rod is rotating about the axis passing through center of mass and perpendicular length of the rod, then you should write ICM I equal ML square by 12. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So next I am going to show you the next result, second result. Then moment of inertia of uniform solid cylinder of mass m and radius r about its axis of symmetry or geometrical axis is given by I equal mr square by 2. You can observe that the formula you don't find length of cylinder. That means same formula can be used irrespective of the ratio of the length to the radius. Here Kepler is the radius of cylinder. So the diagram we can draw more clearly. So look at the screen, you can copy the conclusion. If you are writing the notes here, Kepler represents the radius. That is the moment of inertia of uniform solid cylinder of mass capital M and radius Kepler about its axis symmetry or geometrical axis given y equal mr square by 2. That is when the cylinder is rotating about its axis of symmetry, the moment of inertia can be taken as mr square by 2. You need not try to remember the formula of the radius of gyration k in each case. But if you are asked to calculate the value of k for any case, you can simply write I equal to mk square on the left hand side, because moment of inertia of rigid body about a given axis can be written in the form I equal mk square, where k is the radius of gyration about the axis. So if you substitute here I equal to mk square on the left side, you get mk square equal mr square by 2, or k square by r square you get 1 by 2. So those who are to copy the conclusion, they can take a pause and copy the conclusion. I am going to show the next result. So in the same regular object, that is moment of inertia of uniform solid cylinder about the moment of inertia of uniform solid cylinder about the axis passing through center of mass and perpendicular to geometrical axis. That is about the axis passing through center of mass and perpendicular to geometrical axis symmetry is given by I equal to m into L square by 12 plus R square by 4. Here L is the length of cylinder. Say, I would like to discuss a special case for same thing, where moment of inertia about this axis perpendicular to the axis of symmetry and passing the center of mass. I mean, moment of inertia about the axis perpendicular length of cylinder and passing through its center of mass will be same as the. You can finish writing the notes up to here. You can take a pause and finish writing the notes. I would like to show the notes continuation to this. So the moment of inertia will be same in both the axes I have mentioned. Moment of inertia of the uniform solid cylinder about the axis of symmetry or about the geometrical axis given by mr square by 2. Moment of inertia about the axis perpendicular to the length of cylinder and passing through center of mass is given by m into L square by 12 plus R square by 4. And these two will be equal if L square by 12 plus R square by 4 is R square by 2. Or you can simplify this further. L square by 12 is equal to R square by 2 minus R square by 4. Or you get L square by 12 is equal to R square by 4, or L equal to R into root 3. So the conclusion is that the moment of inertia about the axis perpendicular length of cylinder and passing through center of mass will be equal to its moment of inertia about the geometric axis if the length of cylinder is root 3 times its radius. So I have shown the working for the conclusion below. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So next I am going to show you one more formula. The moment of inertia of uniform solid sphere of mass m and radius r about any axis passing through its center of mass is given by I equal to 2 by 5 mr square. That means the moment of inertia of uniform solid cylinder. So I'm sorry, uniform solid sphere. The moment of inertia of uniform solid sphere about a diameter of sphere can be written as I equal to y by mr square. So next I would like to, those who are copying the result, take a pause and finish writing the notes. Would like to show the next result. The next result, the moment of inertia of a uniform thin-walled hollow sphere or spherical shell, mass and radius are about a diameter of sphere, is given by I equal to 2y3 mr square. This is axis. So next I would like to show the next conclusion. Those who are copying the result, want to copy the result, they can take a pause and copy the conclusion and result. The next conclusion, the moment of inertia of thin uniform circular ring of mass and radius are about the central axis of symmetry, is given by equal mr scale. The central axis of symmetry means the imaginary line passing through center of the ring and perpendicular to the plane of the ring. The imaginary straight line or axis passing through the center of the ring and perpendicular to the plane of the ring is called central axis of symmetry. You can write I equal to mk square on the left side. If you write I equal to mk square, you can write k square equal to r square. So k will be equal to r only in the case phi. Those who want to copy the conclusion, they can take a pause and copy the conclusion. So the next formula I'm showing on the screen. The moment of inertia of thin uniform circular disk of mass and radius r about its central axis of symmetry is given by I equal to mr square by 2. That means the moment of inertia of thin uniform circular disk about the axis passing through its center of mass and perpendicular to the plane of the disk, given by I equal to mr square by 2. Come on, those who want to copy the conclusion, take a pause and copy the conclusion. So there is one more result which I tried to show you in my next class. In the next class, I will be also discussing about the perpendicular axis theorem and some examples in moment of inertia.